Hello, my name is Joe Hennis,
And I'm Jarrod Fairclough.
and welcome to Introduce Our Guest Star, a Muppet fan podcast presented by ToughPigs.com. In this show, Jarrod and I are taking it in turns to surprise each other with this week's guests, and this week, it's my turn. So, Jarrod, you have no idea who I'm bringing on today. Is that correct?
I have no idea, and I'm sitting here quite nervously because, it could be anybody in the whole world.
That is correct. I will narrow it down for you. It is someone in the whole world.
Okay, is it my mother?
You'll see.
I don't know that she's ever worked with the Muppets, but we'll find out.
That would be a really interesting. Wow, that would come out of left field. I actually am disappointed that you said that because that would have been really fun. No, it is not your mother. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna let you ask a few questions and see if you can guess the identity of today's special guest.
Okay, well, I begin with the usual first question, our version of animal, vegetable, or mineral, which almost works for Sesame, Henson, Muppets, I guess, doesn't it?
I guess mineral would be Fraggle Rock.
Fraggle
right?
Rock, animal,
Yeah.
and vegetable, because I guess Captain Vegetable.
Captain Vegetable. That's actually I kind of like that. That works.
Yeah, all right, so animal, vegetable, or mineral?
Vegetable. Sesame Street is the answer. Sesame.
Sesame
This person is
Street,
Sesame
okay.
related. Yes.
Okay, are they a puppeteer?
This person is a puppeteer.
Okay, is this person a current puppeteer?
This person is a current puppeteer. Yes.
Okay, do I get one more?
Sure, why not? It's our game. Who cares?
Why not? Who cares?
Yeah.
Okay, have I met this person before?
Ooh, I'm going to say no. I think you've not met this person. Yeah.
Okay, well that narrows it a little bit. All right, my guess is going to be Marty Robinson.
Well, you're wrong. This is not Marty Robinson, and I'm sorry that
Okay.
you've never had a chance to meet him because he's.
I have not.
But no, our guest today is a lifelong puppeteer and puppet builder. She owns and runs Puppet Pie, a puppet building art studio in Phoenix, Arizona. In 2017, she made headlines as the performer of Sesame Street's newest breakout character, Julia, a curious and fun-loving 4-year-old who happens to have autism. She also happens to be a Muppet fan, by which I mean our guest, not Julia. Jarrod, I am extremely pleased to introduce our guest star, Stacey Gordon.
Hi.
It's so nice to meet you. I'm such a fan.
Oh my goodness, that's so weird.
No, he's talking about me. He's a fan of my.
Yeah, no,
Oh
I'm a
well,
massive fan
I
of Joe.
mean, who isn't? Who isn't?
Right?
Well, I mean, I could tell you a lot of people who aren't. You just have to go on some of the forums and you'll find a lot of people.
Oof.
Really?
Especially these days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. So, Stacey, I'm excited to introduce you to Jarrod and vice versa. This is very exciting for everybody.
No,
It's
yeah.
so nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. I have been a member of, I think maybe not a member, but I've been a peruser of all of these Muppet sites, fan sites, for a very, very, very long time. And it's kind of neat to finally know the people behind them.
That's me. Hi.
Hey.
Why does anyone care about who's behind the scenes? It's the same as when Jim Henson used to have Kermit on a talk show, and they'd say but I can see your lips moving. You're sitting here right next to me, and he's like, yeah, but once the frog starts talking, the guy in the beard is invisible. And I feel like it's the same with us, where it's just when we're writing about Muppets, that's exciting. Why would you ever look at a byline?
I kind of need to know if you're a more qualified nerd than I am.
I guess we'll find out.
Should we have a nerd off?
Let's have a nerd
I don't
off.
know what that would entail.
We could, but I guarantee you'll probably win.
All right.
I'm bad
is that an
at
insult?
retaining. No, I'm bad at retaining information.
What does that mean for nerddom? That it's all about memorization? You know what I mean?
I mean, a lot of it is.
I
guess
would
so.
say a lot of it is. I mean, a lot of my Muppet nerddom is knowing obscure characters, and it's just because I remember who they are.
I can barely remember my children's names. I'm not going to be able to remember the name or who played the tomato in episode 4751 of Sesame Street, which hasn't even existed yet. So,
Good, because I was about
to
jump on Muppet Wiki and have a look.
But that's one of the reasons actually, Stacey, I wanted to have you here, because you are you definitely walk that line between being a huge Muppet fan as well as like being someone who's actually working on the show right now, and in like such a unique way, especially because like Julia, like that was like your introduction to working on Sesame Street. It wasn't like you were on the show for years.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then, they gave you a character.
Yeah.
So you like really kind of catapulted from like audition to like you're debuting this character on 60 Minutes, which is insane to me.
Unfortunately, this is just an audio podcast, because then you're the only ones right now who can see like the look of disbelief on my face about all of that. Yeah, that was a very, very strange experience, and it still is to a very large degree, because while I had always wanted to be on Sesame Street, I was told very early on that this was something that was unattainable because I'm not tall enough. And I was told that just a few years into my professional puppetry career. So I was just like, great, I'll do something on my own. And I never had it in my sights after that. I'd lament every now and again, like, oh, why couldn't have Jim Henson have been 5'7"? Just within my arm's reach, right? Because I'm only 5'2". I'm 5'2".
Aw, so tiny.
So
I know.
Are you then wearing platforms or something when you puppeteer?
No, so that was the really great thing, is that at my audition, Matt was like, well, you've seen how it is on the show. And I was like, no. But he was like, well, we're all seated. And so it kind of, levels the playing field a little bit, in that, you're starting from your torso height rather than your leg height. And for my height, my torso is longer proportionally than my legs are. So,
that's a weird thing to put on your resume, right? Like, my torso is
we'd
longer than my legs. Yeah.
I have a long torso.
That and like your special skills?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I remember when I was working at Disney and I really wanted to do face characters, and I was like, I want to do Little Mermaid for obvious reasons. I have red hair. And I was like, they actually talked a lot about torso length. And I was like, I think I can do it. I just don't have the right face for it.
Right, because Little Mermaid at Disney is seated. So it doesn't matter how long your legs are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what did you do at Disney?
Well, I went down there on the college program to Florida in fall of '98, and then I went and I just did, grunt work, college program stuff. And I remember somebody came up to me while I was in line to get my assignment, and they said, have you considered auditioning for characters? We'd love to have you as Mickey. You have to be 5 foot. The tallest you can be is 5'1". And I was so offended. I was like, I am 5'2". Thank you very much. But I did end up getting to go back the following summer, and I did characters, and the Chipmunks are 5'2". So,
can I tell you my thing about the Chipmunks at the Disney theme parks? Is
Please do.
We have a running gag when my wife and I go to Disney World or Disneyland, is that the gag is that like I'm a huge fan of Dale, but I hate Chip. So when we see them, it's like, oh,
Really?
Dale's here, no way. But Chip, man, can I just get a picture with Dale? Why does Chip have to be there too?
do you know the personality difference between the two?
I mean, I know the personality difference like from like Rescue Rangers, but not like the costume characters.
Right.
Is that the same
so
thing? I don't know.
You know what? I don't remember. Rescue Rangers was so long ago for me. I admittedly haven't rewatched it. Tell me if this checks out for Rescue Rangers, that Dale's the smart one.
Chip is the smart one.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Chip is
Yeah.
the smart one. Yeah. No, I had that backwards.
Yeah.
Chip is the smart one, and Dale's just the doofus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Chip
That
Chip
would
is like,
track, yeah.
he's the one who's like, he's got a plan, but he's very rigid about it. And Dale is like the loose cannon dummy guy.
Well, I went to a character breakfast at Disneyland. This was going back years ago, and Chip and Dale. It was dead. Like, there was no one in this restaurant. And so they spent a lot of time with us. And Chip and Dale were there, and one of them had walked off. I think it was, it might have been Chip. Oh, no, sorry, Dale had walked off, so Chip was with us. And I was like, how about we get rid of Dale, and we have Chip and Jarrod? And he's looked at me and just shaking his head. And I'm like, what about Jarrod and Dale? Like, we'll get rid of you. Yeah. And he ended up putting me in the corner. And and then would walk outside and taunt me and make fun of me from outside of the restaurant. And then it ended up with Minnie Mouse putting us both in timeout.
Wow.
That's on brand. That is on brand. That was one of my favorite things about playing those characters, was that you were allowed to mess with people. You were encouraged to do it. I can remember taking somebody's hat and playing catch with it back and forth with another character. I think it ended up falling in a fountain. We had to replace the hat. But I mean, like, it's all in good fun. Like, we threw stuff up in trees. It was one of my favorite things at there was a Kodak area at Disney World in Main Street, and they'd have the characters come out and just hang out there, and people would come in, have their photos taken, and then as the evening progressed, we'd go out into the front of the park to draw people out there. But when we were in that photo area, indoors, we always had a handler with us, and we had the handler tell people that they were trying out a new thing, that it wasn't, these weren't the actual characters, but they were giant posables that people could stand next to and get their photos with, kind of like it's the real thing. And my cohort and I, the only difference is what head you put on. Whoever I was at the time, we would pose, and we would stand very, very, very still. And then as soon as they got close enough and smiled for the picture, we would reach out and hug them. To many, many terrified responses.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I love that.
Looking back, how did we not get fired?
But like you said, like, you could do anything. I mean, I don't need to go through all the stories of costume characters that I've had photos with, but like, the weirder they get, like the ones where it's just like, yeah, let's pose for a picture and then move on, or like, I don't remember any of them. Like, I look at the picture, I'm like, I met Jafar, like, I don't know, whatever. Right. But the ones where it's like Donald Duck and I literally like had a tug of war with my wife because we were fighting over her. We've got some amazing pictures from that, and it's the best. And it's like, we could have dislocated her arm. We were just pulling on her arms. Yeah. In either direction.
When I was at that same Disneyland trip, young Ryan Dozier joined us for a day, and there was 4 of us, and we went to get a photo with Goofy, and he just spent, no word of a lie, probably a good 3 minutes just shaking everyone's hand and making us all shake each other's hands, and then he's pulling people in who aren't with us and shaking their hands. It happened again with Tigger as well, where
I love mischief.
Yeah, well, it happened with Tigger where because I was with a married couple, he went, sort of gave a look of like, are you by yourself? Like, are you like the third wheel? And I'm like, oh, yeah. And he goes, all right. And he basically shoved those 2 out the way and only hung out with me.
Great.
That's adorable.
Yeah, and again,
now you're married to Tigger.
Much better moments. And now Tigger and I are together.
Yeah. Very happy together, I'm sure.
Clearly.
Yes.
Marriage is what Tigger do best.
So you played the Chip and Dale.
Chip and Dale, Winnie the Pooh. Chip, Dale, Winnie the Pooh, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful. Sometimes Max every now and again. I think I got to do Robin Hood once.
Wow.
And then
you got to do some characters that like don't normally come out, that's neat.
Yeah. I think it was just they were desperate to put us somewhere because we were on the college program. Oh no, I wasn't on the college program at that point. I don't know. Maybe I just needed hours. And then every now and again, like Pinocchio was supposed to be out, and they didn't have somebody in the right height range, and I came in as Pinocchio.
Great. Yeah, that's
super
awesome.
Super fun. I have dreams where I'm back working there and they're wonderful, and I wake up and I'm like, oh, slightly disappointed.
But then you get to remember that in your real
Disney.
life you work at Sesame Street.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
So then what's the trajectory from... So I say that, like, all right, you're in the college program. What were you studying? What made you think I'm going to become a puppeteer?
So I had been going to school for early childhood education, and very quickly realized that since all of the classes I was choosing to take were theater related, that I should maybe not do that. When I went to the college program, they had me shadow Voyage of the Little Mermaid, and I was instantly like, oh, I need to be a puppeteer. And when I went back, I wanted to do theater, specifically puppetry. And when I went back to Colorado, I took only theater classes, and realized that it was kind of running out of money in terms of funding school. And I went, you know what? I don't need a degree to do theater, which I totally wish I had, because it still would have come in handy. But I got married pretty young, and we moved to Arizona, and I got involved with the Great Arizona Puppet Theater and was a puppeteer.
That's how it happens. You fall backwards, and then you're like, oops, I'm a puppeteer now.
Whoops, this thing I was doing as a hobby is earning me income now. How did that happen?
Well, see, now that I don't know what that's like.
I know. It's very hard, and it takes a lot of hustle.
So what is the puppetry scene in Arizona like?
It's actually pretty good. We have a couple of local puppet theaters in the Phoenix metro area, and then there's me. There are a few touring puppeteers. There's a theater dedicated to puppetry for adults. They do full-length shows, things like Frankenstein Has No Legs, Top Gun Has No Legs, 50 Shades of Felt. And then we have a lot of puppet slams. I've been doing puppet slams since 2002. And if you don't know, puppet slams are short form puppetry for adults. So with a not appropriate for children theme. Ooh, yes. And that's mainly what I was doing up until Sesame Street, because I never, except when I worked at the puppet theater, I never wanted to step on the Great Arizona Puppet Theater's toes. They taught me so much, and they, made sure that I got to my first puppet festival, and I mean, literally we'd have Thanksgiving together on disposable Muppet plates.
Wow. It all comes full circle.
It all comes full circle. Yeah. It's well, I mean, when you're dealing in the circle of puppetry, it's always, I don't know if we ever left the circle.
I mean, I would assume that the puppetry world is very incestuous, and you just kind of know the same, like it's like a certain group of people, and you all kind of go from project to project and cross paths and high five as you swap places and things like that.
Yeah. The theater community, I have to say, it's big, but I don't know everybody, but I know a lot of people, especially I've been in it for so long, and it's always really neat because you see somebody get an award or something, and you go, oh, cool. Well, I could write a show and do that too. It's very supportive, very, very wonderful. I have to say, Puppeteers of America is such a great organization to be a part of. And I don't just say that because I'm on the board. I say that because because it's really how I've developed some of my closest friendships. Work has come through that, lots of professional development classes and all that. Yeah. Puppetry community is great, and I love it.
Well, are you a puppet builder as well? Like, just looking behind you, you're obviously in your little workshop, and I can see there's a puppet behind you. There's also Fluffster behind you. So, were you building puppets younger? Did you start building puppets when you decided you wanted to be a puppeteer?
I started building puppets when I was 14. My church wanted to have a puppet group, and I volunteered my mom, who has doll and sewing experience. So I was like, oh, she can do it. And you volunteer someone else, you volunteer yourself. So, and that was back in 1992. And so, there was no internet to look for patterns or anything. So my mom and I just kind of tried to figure it out as best we could. And my dad still has all of those puppets in their garage, and they are terrifying.
There's a couple of pictures of them, I think, on the Puppet Pie. They were I either saw them on the Puppet Pie website or on like an article, like an interview someone did with you a couple of years ago. They included a couple of pictures, and yes, they are well, they're church puppets, and if people out there know what church puppets are,
Yeah, not only church puppets, they have googly eyes. We made them so big, they ended up wearing size 4T for toddlers, 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
They worked for what they needed to be, I hope. But, I've got puppets from my childhood sitting back there, my childhood Oscar the Grouch and my Count. And I've got a few Gund puppets, a few Stife puppets, stuff my mom made, stuff my aunt made for me. I have my very first puppet behind me, it's a black sheep that was made off of the commercial pattern for lamb chop.
Oh,
so
that's smart.
That was
just
yep.
Change the color and it's all new character.
My aunt gave my sister the one that looked like lamb chop, and she gave me the black sheep.
Is that like just the? Yeah, I think
it might have been a little foreshadowing. Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah,
that's all right.
That's all right. It's okay. I leaned into it.
My favorite people are all black sheeps. That's not even a joke. That's
well, and
correct.
And honestly, my family couldn't be more proud of me. So I really shouldn't say that, but it's funny.
Maybe you have a family of all black sheeps, and your sister is the only white sheep.
Potentially, yeah. Potentially.
Yeah? Sure. Let's go with that.
Let's go with that. It defies logic, but
so with Julia, it's I'm jazzed every time I see how much fun stuff you get to do, and you've gotten to do the Macy's parade, and you were in the 50th anniversary special. What are some of the cool stuff that you've kind of pinching yourself that you get to participate in as a Sesame puppeteer?
Can I tell you that I didn't do Julia in the Macy's parade?
Oh, you didn't? I thought it was you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, it's totally fine, because someone that I think that you and I both love and adore very dearly did Julia for me. And if anyone else is to do Julia, I would definitely want Laura McLean to do Julia for me. So, yeah, Lars did Julia. So it's just
that's nice. Yeah. Okay, I feel better about that now.
Oh gosh, the pinch me things. Sitting in Whoopi Goldberg's dressing room, filled with all of her fancy shoes. That was definitely a pinch me thing.
Did you try any of her shoes on?
No, but she did say that she wanted to order a pair that I had been admiring in Julia's foot size. It never happened, but that is okay. Just her saying it was enough. They were a pair of Irregular Choice shoes that were Alice in Wonderland themed. So.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. Sitting next to Ishtok Perlman during the 50th special, and in between takes, he'd just play. It was just stunning.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I remember watching him on Sesame Street when I was a kid.
Well, one of, I think, your pinch me moments, I feel like I've actually witnessed, because there's a video, I think, when they introduced Julia. I think you've got Julia and Ryan Gillen has Elmo. And Brian says, Elmo says, "Hi, Stacey," and you look up with just so much love in your eyes and go, "Hi, Elmo," and you just revert back to a 4-year-old, and it's gorgeous to watch.
And it's so funny, because I am such a person that believes that puppets are tools and they are not alive, and it's an artist's job to bring them alive, and these are storytelling tools that we use to make people feel feelings. And it is rare for me to be caught off guard by the enchantment of it all. And, meeting Ryan, amazing. Meeting Matt, amazing. Like all of these things. And then it was just completely caught off guard because Elmo said hi to me. And I was just like, oh, I don't know. I genuinely think every single moment I'm there is a pinch me moment. It's every day that I leave my art studio here in Phoenix, I turn to the studio and I say, thank you, studio. And I shut the door, turn off the lights and leave. Well, turn off the lights and shut the door. And I feel that way every single time I'm on set too. It is just, I get butterflies every time I go up the elevator, every time I walk onto the studio floor, even when I just go into the Muppet Lounge and it says, Muppet Lounge. Like, what did I do? I did nothing to deserve this. Absolutely nothing. And yet here I am. I was not on the trajectory. This was not something I was striving for. And yet here I am with a Fluffster and a Julia doll sitting behind me. And those are characters. Well, not Fluffster, but Julia is a character that I have now quote unquote originated. Like they cast somebody in Japan and, the voiceover in Mexico based on my voice and based on my laugh. That's weird. And it's something that, happens, what would we say? Like maybe 5 days a year tops, including all the stuff we do for the internet. So it still is very, very special. It doesn't feel like a job. It feels like a privilege.
So if you're not on the trajectory then of becoming a puppeteer for Sesame Street, how does that actually eventuate?
So I was doing a lot with a web series for a board game company that I'm also a big board game nerd, so.
Me too.
Oh, awesome. So I was working for Mayfair Games, if you know who they are. Mm-hmm. They used to produce Settlers of Catan. And I was one of their 3 puppeteers. I had worked on a couple of things prior with cameras, with monitor work. Kind of had to teach myself to get through this 5 years of this series. We would only film, 1 day a month, but still needed to get it done. And I knew the general basics. And, I was going to a lot of conventions. I would always go to Dragon Con and Gen Con, which is a board game convention. Dragon Con is in Atlanta, Georgia. I do the Phoenix Comic Con. And I did a lot of improv. And so every now and again, a puppet improv opportunity would come about. And whether or not it was done with overt puppetry, which is where you just hold your puppet in front of you like Avenue Q, or done above your head with a camera, in a few of these opportunities, I was able to work with some really wonderful people and able to meet those people prior at puppetry festivals through the Puppeteers of America. And when they got to know me, I get to know them, and they found out that my son is autistic. Is very verbal, super awesome kid now that he's a teenager. I shouldn't say super awesome kid now that he's a teenager. Always a super awesome kid. Now that he's a teenager, I just want to hang out with him all the time. So, which is not most teenage parents' experience. So I feel really lucky there. But some of those people knew what was going on at the workshop, knew that they needed a puppeteer with a lot of experience in the autism community and had a strong connection to the autism community, which I definitely had, still have. Prior to my son's diagnosis and prior to his birth, I was a habilitator for children on the spectrum, nonverbal children on the spectrum. So actually, one little girl in particular that I worked with, definitely full time, she's a lot like Julia. I use her as kind of Julia's example. So, yeah, and then I get an email, I get, a request for a video, and then all of a sudden I'm auditioning, and then all of a sudden I'm in New York and thinking, oh, this is the only time I'm ever going to be here. Little did I know.
And since we're all kind of like working from home these days, do you have Julia like in your presence right now? I mean, not this very second necessarily, but like she's in Arizona with you.
Julia is in Arizona with me. Yes, she's not
That's
in my
pretty
studio. Yeah, she's not in my studio because my studio is not climate controlled when I'm not
Yep.
here. So, the thought of putting a puppet in a studio that gets above 106 degrees was kind of terrifying. So
Right, because you live in a desert.
Yeah.
Right, that makes sense.
because I live in a desert. Yeah. If it's 120 outside, it's at least 106 in my studio. So
Right.
So what was it like for you then? Because as we said before, when Julia was announced and first aired, it was worldwide news. So what was
Yeah.
that like for you, sort of watching from the inside, knowing that, this is your character?
terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying. Because there are two communities that I didn't want to let down. I didn't want to let down the autism community, and I didn't want to let down the puppetry community. I knew that I was new. I knew that I was self-taught, and I knew that being self-taught doesn't mean you're taught the right way. And, you have this idea in your head that you're a decent puppeteer, and then you puppeteer next to, the top people in the world, and you're like, wow, I stink. Like, and thankfully, they've provided so much support. I mean, my first day, I was paired with Peter Linz, who's, probably one of the best puppeteers alive. So I could not have asked for a better support system. But the whole thing was absolutely terrifying. It was also surreal. Like, my mother-in-law got called by the news to ask about me. It was very strange.
That seems like, I don't know, an invasion of privacy a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
I got, my phone number was uncovered, and I got called by several news outlets, right? I mean, 60 Minutes hadn't even finished airing in New York yet, and it was already, I don't even remember which one it was. It was wild, though. It was absolutely wild, and I was getting emails from all over the world. Just incredible. And I did an improv festival shortly after, and all my friends are like, and I helped found this improv festival here in Phoenix. And so, all my friends are bragging about what I'm doing. Like, oh, Stacey's doing this now. And we had a guest from, I think it was Finland, one of those countries over there. Sorry, those countries.
One of the Nordic countries? Is
The
that what we call
Nordic
them?
countries, yeah. So, and she was like, oh, they were bragging. They were saying, oh, Stacey works for Sesame Street, and she was like, oh, I'm sorry, I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it is. And then I said, oh no, it's fine. It had just been introduced like the month before, and I said, no, it's fine. I play a character on the show who's autistic, and she was like, oh. No, actually, I have heard of that. And I was just like, how? You don't even know about Sesame Street, and yet you know about this character. It's insane.
I think it's more
Absolutely
insane that
insane.
she'd never heard of Sesame Street before.
I think if you don't grow up in a country where they air it in
True, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. I think this is their first time to the United States, so.
Well, we have to educate these people who come here.
That's right. Well,
like let me give you like the 50th anniversary DVD. Let me give you some merchandise.
I sent her home with the Julia book with the
Great.
We're Amazing
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Yep, she
Great.
went home with that, and yeah, definitely took pictures of me and a doll together.
So was your first day on Sesame Street that first episode of where Julia's introduced with Big Bird and everything like that?
No, thankfully, Matt, our puppet captain, was smart. enough to not have that be my first day. My first episode was the Four Sneezins, where Grover sneezes and then it changes the weather. I think Rudy was in that episode as well, which was wonderful because I've worked with Frankie Cordero on other projects too, and it was so awesome between him and Leslie and Pam and Tyler. I guess I did know a lot of people, but Frankie felt like an old familiar face. It was really nice to have him there. So that one was my first episode, and Julia's kind of just in the background on that. So I really got to get my feet wet a little bit and try and figure it out with, moving cameras and working in groups that are all moving together in a group and trying not to fall off the rolly. It was such a blast. It was such a blast. Yeah.
So how does it feel now, like 3 years later? Like you've like the character has debuted. Those butterflies are 4 years later. Sorry. Oh, right, because she was announced 3 years ago, but you obviously have been working with her for 4 years. Right. I didn't even think of the math. But yeah, so now 4 years later, those nervous moments of, oh no, I've never done this before and I don't know how to sit on a rolly are hopefully gone. But like,
right.
Are you feeling more confident about it? Is it still terrifying?
Yes and yes. I always want to be better than I was before, and I still see so much room for improvement for myself, both as an actress and as a puppeteer, that actually this whole pandemic happening and me very likely not being able to go to New York for this season of filming is just crushing, because I want to go and I want to show how much better I am. It's like I've got all this set up here, and while I haven't been practicing with the puppet because I'm terrified to take her out for non-official reasons, like, I don't know, what if something happens? So I'm still just practicing with my own puppets, but I want to show that I'm getting better. I want to show, and I just want to puppeteer too. It's still terrifying because, no matter how much you learn, you learn a gallon of information, and then once you've gotten to the end of that gallon, you see that there are 5 more gallons that you had no idea that you needed to consume down the road. And that's kind of where I am, is, there's so much to master. There's so much to learn. I want to be at Stephanie Jabruzzo levels. Like, she is so good. She's so good. And I want to be a puppeteer. I want to be like Stephanie when I grow up. Like, there's still so much to learn that it's a little, but you can't let the terror consume you, obviously. It's like I'm comfortable on a set. I know where to put my scripts. I know how to self-advocate, all of those things that you don't necessarily know to do in your first season or two. Especially when, your first season or two is not as a honker or butterfly. It's that part is I'm definitely more comfortable with, but the actual performance side, I'm always worried that I won't live up to my own expectations.
And that's part of the problem with the fact that, like, Sesame Street is they only film for a few months out of the year. Of those few months, like you say, you're only there for a few days for each season, plus the the social impact type stuff, and like you kind of need to put in your 100,000 hours or whatever they say to like become an expert, but like you're never gonna get that way with just 5 days a year. So like, how do you even start to like practice 12 months out of the year? I mean, I'm not even talking about you just being in Arizona and not always on a set, which wouldn't work anyway, but like all those puppeteers, They can't
Yeah.
you can't constantly be filming Sesame Street because they're not doing 120 episodes a year anymore.
Right. Well, and for a lot of them, they started at a time where they were doing that many episodes a year.
True.
I'm trying to think of when. Oh, you guys would probably know better than me when they cut down to the 6 to 8 weeks of filming. But for the longest time, I want to say up through the 90s, they were shooting, what was it, 40 to 50 weeks out of the year? I mean, it was their job.
Sure, yeah. But even that was like, I mean, of the people who are on set now, it's like Marty Robinson and Pam Marciero. I can't even think of anyone else who was around in those days.
I think maybe David Redman?
Yeah, David Rudman too. Yeah, he would have been.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
I just happened to look it up. I don't know when they switched to, what was it, like 24, 26 episodes a year, but I just happened to look up. I think it was like season 31-ish, give or take, was when they went from like 120 to 60. So like
would
that would have
been around like 1995?
Well, that would have been 20 years ago from now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so 2000.
Right, give or take.
20 years ago, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all I think just about everyone there started in the 90s. So they definitely got their time in. Not that they were working every day back then, but there were also a lot of other puppet productions on television too. If you think about it, there was Between the Lions, that Jen and Peter were both on, along with probably other people that I'm forgetting. I know Pam, but she got her experience on like Great Space Coaster. So, yeah. So I would say, and even now, the puppeteers who are in New York or Chicago have productions that they can work on. There's more than one puppet show in production, thankfully. In Phoenix, I try and hold monitor nights. Well, I mean, when it's legal, not legal, it's legal now in Phoenix, but when it's safe.
Right.
Yeah. So I had my last one on March 6th, and I've just been doing.
Can you explain what a monitor night is for people who don't know what that is?
I sure can. So in puppetry, working for television or a camera, you call it you watch yourself on a monitor. And so in the puppetry community, a monitor night is where puppeteers get together and learn and practice television puppetry. And you can have anywhere from, 2 to 15 people show up, and you've kind of got to try and figure out how you're all going to get on screen and where to put your bodies and all this other fun stuff. It's really a fun time because you get to horse around a lot, and you kind of develop characters and stuff out of that. But yeah, it's also just fun because you get to see other puppeteers. It's something that I definitely miss.
I'm trying to link because I got a question, but I don't know how to link it.
Speaking of segues.
Yeah, speaking of segues.
All right, so, you've been doing Julia 4 years. What's the response been like from the autism community?
I think for the most part, it's been extremely positive. I know when Julia was introduced as just the storybook character in 2015, I was over the moon. Let's see, in 2015, my child was 12 and still going through a lot of experiences at school where his classmates didn't understand him. And, I thought back to, had he had something like this, had we had representation in the media, what would his experience have been like? I often reference a parent. Their name that they go by on Twitter is Ship. And they call their child Action Kid. And a few summers ago, it's great because I call my child Boy Child online, so I fully love the online nickname. but they wrote out an exchange that they observed at swim class. Swim class was really rough for my child. And the exchange was essentially a grandmother saying to a granddaughter, "Be careful," and Action Kid flapping his hands and spinning, and the little girl saying to her grandmother, "Oh, it's fine. I know. I saw it on Sesame Street." And then going and engaging with that child, not waiting for that child to engage with her. My child didn't engage with other kids. If we went to a park and there were other kids there, he would gladly sit in the sand and dig next to them, never say a word, and let me know at the end that he had a fun time playing with that child. And did I know their name?
Wow. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, that effect of Sesame Street of just like, I mean, obviously like teaching letters and numbers, but like also just the social stuff of, you know, tolerance and acceptance and understanding was definitely a lesson that I remember as, you know, a preschooler taking and implementing into the real world. And this feels like not only is it so much, it's really like teaching about, you know, acceptance of you know, autistic kids is such an important lesson, but it's also like it's so much more hyper specific than the lessons that we were learning as you know, back in the 80s about like generically like cooperation or whatever. And to think of like what we could have, I don't know, it was like what would we have been able to accomplish more if we had someone like Julia on the show back then? I don't know, but you know, I think it's a good thing.
Oh, I think it's such a good thing. I mean, and really, I mean, maybe it's one of those things that because you're part of it now you're looking for it. But I mean, even just you know, 5-6 years prior, the messaging about autism was not positive. You know, I tell the story about driving my kiddo to school, and every single day we'd pass a billboard that showed a sad child. And it says 1 in, I think it was 100 back then, or maybe 88. But, you know, 1 in however many kids is diagnosed with autism. My son couldn't read. He couldn't read properly until he was anywhere between 3rd grade and 5th grade. But he was very interested in numbers. So he spotted the billboard and saw the numbers. And he's like, "What is that? I need to know what that is." And I had to, with bated breath, explain to him that it was, well, 1 in every 88 kids or 1 in every 100 kids is diagnosed with autism. And I was waiting for the other shoe to drop and for him to say, "Why is the autistic child sad?" But he didn't. He just went, and this is partly, I'll take a little credit, partly because we've raised him that diagnosis is a blessing, because he knows what community he fits into, you know, like he doesn't need to feel alone. He's exactly who he needs to be. But instead of, you know, going, you know, "Oh no," he went, "You mean I'm really rare?"
Yep.
And I was practically in tears, and I was like, "Yeah, buddy, you're really rare," you know, like, because I was expecting him to see the sad child. Well, thankfully, his form of autism makes it more challenging for him to recognize facial expressions and emotions in facial expressions. Because then that bulletin board, that ad about autism awareness didn't have to crush his spirit. But I can't imagine being the parent, or unfortunately I can imagine being the parent of a child who does get those cues, or an adult who gets those cues, and going, you know, why am I being depicted in this way? And so it was really important to me that Julia be portrayed in a positive light, which of course Sesame Street is going to do. But, you know, that's one reason I had her laugh so much. And that's my son's laugh. I just completely mimic my son's laugh.
You stole it from him, is what you're saying.
I reached into his depths and I stole his essence of laughter. Yes.
Like a podling.
Like a podling. Aw, he is like my podling, isn't he?
And you're like the scientist Skeksis. I was just gonna say.
I'm
right?
just like his Skeksis. Yeah, as are all parents and children. Until they hit to be teenagers, and then no, just kidding. So yeah, it was really important for me to just make him laugh, and Bethany is the little girl who is now an adult that I used to work with so much, that Julia is based on, and she's the same way. She's just a bright and ethereal, just a wonderful person to be around. Like, I love hanging out with Bethany. I loved it when she was little, and I love it now when we're able again to do that. She sees things in ways that I don't. My son sees things in ways that I don't. And it's magical.
Well, I think she's such an important character, and I think, look, I shouldn't say anyone else's hands, but in the wrong hands, it could have been a disaster. It could have been one of those things where, it could have been a trivia question in 10 years. But I think you've done incredibly well with it.
Thank you.
Thinking back now, I remember I had a girl email me when Julia got announced and said, she's autistic, she wants to write an article. And I was like, yes, absolutely. And, this girl is now, I think she's probably 23, 24 now. She would have been about 20 when it all happened. And she just wrote how important she found this and how much she wished she had this when she was a kid, and how excited she was for, children with autism now and children without autism, just to actually understand what it is and how to respond to it and how to deal with it. So I think you've done incredible work.
Thank you. And I have to say, it's not without the geniuses at Sesame Street. It's not. I often tell people that I am Julia's weekend mom. There's a whole team of people doing the heavy lifting, in terms of the content, the research and development, the writing. We have some incredible writers at Sesame Street. Christine Ferraro writes some beautiful Julia scripts. We have some beautiful ones coming up that I can't talk about, but they're beautiful. And it is through their hard work and through their commitment, not just to representing autism, but representing autism in an authentic of way as possible. Really talking with the autism community. And, I was talking about the book earlier. Leslie Kimmelman, who writes these Julia books, her son is autistic as well, and one of our, I think he's our AD. He's Autism Daddy on the interwebs. He has a very popular blog.
Frank Companion.
Yeah. And I'm right. He's our AD, right?
Yes, he is an AD.
Okay, great. Yes.
He wears many hats, but one of them is he is an AD on the show.
Yes. So, it comes from a very personal place within Sesame Street's staff. But then they kick it up to an 11 in terms of making it as authentic and as real and respectful as possible. Just the fact that they introduced a family and a dog, like how much they're willing to give to this social impact project says a lot.
Well, I completely agree. I think it's fantastic. I'm so glad you're a part of it.
Well, before we start to wrap up, I do want to ask you a question, Stacey. According to your Muppet Wiki, It says, as a child, she wanted to be a twiddlebug. My question
Yeah.
is, have you been able to perform a twiddlebug yet?
No, I have not. But can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
I made a very tiny, I think it's about 1.5 inches tall, maybe 2 inches. Made a very tiny wool felt twiddlebug that the props department hides on the set. And when you cannot, when it won't be seen, it lives in the flower box.
Ah, I love
Very
that.
nice.
I love that.
Yeah. And every time I go to set, I go take pictures.
I love that. I'm curious though. When you say you want to be a twiddlebug, do you want to be like you want to perform a twiddlebug, or you want to actually be a twiddlebug? And if it's the latter, does that mean that you are a life-size twiddlebug, or does that mean you're actually like a tiny little bug that lives in a flower pot?
So when I was younger, keep in mind I was, Sesame Street watching age. I would say typical
I'm
Sesame Street
31.
watching age. No, yeah. That's why I clarified. Typical Sesame Street watching age, because I watched it well in high school. I wanted to be a twiddlebug. I wanted to live in a milk carton in Bert and Ernie's flower bed in their flower box. I wanted a stamp on my wall as a photo. I wanted to be a twiddlebug. Specifically, I wanted to be the sister twiddlebug. And
Well,
I
think
sadly
there's-
don't know their names.
There's literally nothing stopping you from printing out a giant stamp and hanging it on your wall.
I mean, I feel like
Why have you not done
you've
that
got the
yet?
talent to be able to turn your workshop, at least, into a milk carton.
No, that's true. That's true. The irony in all of that is that I am allergic to milk.
Well, you got to wash it out. It'll be a soy milk carton. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Rice milk, almond milk.
Well, Stacey, so at the end of every one of these podcasts, Jarrod and I have agreed that we are going to be asking our guests the same few questions. We're actually going to be twisting it a little bit. I'm asking slightly different questions than Jarrod asked last week, but they'll stay consistent throughout this series. So here we go. It's going to be lightning rounds. Are you ready?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay.
Do I need a bell? Do I need to find a bell to ding?
No, I like the way that we say lightning round when Emilio Delgado did it last week, and I mean, I reckon the answers were longer than anything else we asked.
Okay.
It's true.
Yeah.
So my first question is, what is the best movie that you watched recently?
Oh, Knives Out.
Ooh, good choice.
Great choice.
Starring Frank Oz.
Super good movie. Oh my gosh, so good. Just visually. Oh my goodness.
Would you rather travel 20 years into the past or 20 years into the future?
Past.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No!
Ugh, we're going to have to fight over that.
No,
is-
a hot dog is not a sandwich. A hot dog is a hot dog. I am so sorry. It is not a sandwich. A sandwich requires pieces of bread and something in the middle that is not in a tube.
What? Okay, we're gonna talk
A
about
hot
this
dog.
offline.
A
Okay.
hot dog is its own thing. Yes, we could take this offline. I have a podcast for you to listen to called Judge John Hodgman. I could not tell you the episode, but a hot dog is not a sandwich, and I feel very, very strongly.
Okay,
about
I will actually fight John Hodgman. Like, I would be glad to fight that guy.
that. I would pay money to see that.
Okay, what is the most obscure Muppet you can think of? You have to answer quick. Go.
The Harvey Knee Slapper.
That's a good one.
All right. Good
All
choice.
right, in every episode, we're asking our guest to ask a question to our following guest. So last week we asked Emilio Delgado to ask a question for you. He didn't know who was going to be the next guest, of course. But he asked,
Aw.
"Why is 6 afraid of 7?"
Because 7, 8, 9.
He'd be so proud to know that you knew the
He
answer to
would.
that.
You know what? He and I are actually slated to have some kind of FaceTime something in the near future. So I will let him know.
Yes, he'll be very glad to know you were the one. And finally, without knowing who it is, what question would you like to ask our next guest on this podcast?
I would like to know what was the crux in your life that led you to where you are right now?
Wow.
Oh, that's a good
That's
one.
a deep question, and I'm sure they'll be able to answer it in like 3 or 4 words. So
Oh, yeah,
perfect.
totally.
Yeah.
I hope
Well-
it's like avocados.
Well, Stacey, thank you so much for being here. This was an amazing and fun and super informative interview. Jarrod, you did a great job coming up with questions off the cuff without
Thank
knowing
you. This
who
is such a
our guest was
delight.
gonna be.
Yeah, you know what? I completely forgot that Jarrod didn't know that it was going to be me because like you were asking such deep questions. I am wholly impressed.
Thank you very much. I'll bow and no one will. I'll insert some really thunderous applause right there, but just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yes,
the whole reason that
wonderful.
we did this podcast to begin with, was so Jarrod could get some compliments about his interviewing skills. So thank you for
That's
acknowledging
it.
that.
That's it. Thank you.
Oh, good. Can I do a quick plug?
Yeah, well, please. What do you want to plug?
I would like to plug my ice cream truck if that's okay.
Oh, I meant to ask you about the ice cream truck. I'm glad you're bringing it up. Good.
Okay, good. So my puppet building studio in Phoenix is called Puppet Pie, and I have an ice cream truck that I am in the process of restoring to bring my art studio on the road, because right now it's not safe to bring people into the studio. So I'm going to bring my studio to them, and we are calling it Puppet Pie a la mobile.
Oh, I hate it.
I'm going to put in thunderous applause for that too.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And I'll be able to book different puppet building events, birthday parties, workshops, hey, get together for a crafty wine night, whatever you want at your house if you live in the Phoenix metro area. So,
Okay, so you're not going to be able to get it to Australia so I can come?
No, but my brother would love me to do that. My brother lives in Melbourne, so.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful.
Come and visit
Wait,
when you can.
are
I
you guys
know.
related? We were saying at the beginning of this
wait.
podcast that the guest was going to be Jared's mom, but maybe
Jared,
Yeah,
are
you guys
you my
are related.
brother?
I am.
Are
I'm your long lost brother.
Is it so this whole time I had no idea.
Wow.
This
Revelations
explains
in
so
this
much.
podcast.
So much.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, everyone, please visit puppetpie.com to see what Stacey's working on, or if you want to do any work with the Puppet Pie Studio or the Puppet Pie a la mobile ice cream truck. Did I do that right?
Yeah,
Great.
it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I love it so much.
Perfect. I hope everyone please visit stuffpigs.com for all of your Muppet news and for more Muppet podcasts. We're also on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, so please find us there. And that will be it for this week, so tune in next week for our next very special guest star. Thanks for listening, everybody. Goodbye.